Qiuyuan is finally here in the second phase of version 2.7, and his main role is to provide echo skill damage buffs to your DPS units, which makes him a bit more niche in your team building because Frolova and Galbrena are the only resonators in the game so far that scales off echo skill damage. However, he does have universal damage buffing capabilities like the 30% team-wide crit damage from his liberation, which pairs well with his short field time requirement and moonlit clouds if the main damage dealer in the team scales off attack, which is quite common. So he's not entirely useless outside of Galbrena and Frolova teams. Before we proceed any further, I want you guys to keep in mind that every footage used in this video was captured on the media server, so some things may be subject to change upon official release. The pinned comment will be updated to clarify anything new in the future. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Send you to your grave. Fresh face. I'll fight fire with fire.
Forte circuit or playstyle. He has 3 Forte stacks on top of his health bar, as you can see right here, and there are 2 ways to fill those Forte stacks. Let's start with the first one, which will mostly be used in the overworld where you don't really do any rotations due to how weak enemies can be. You can gain half of one of the Forte stacks by using normal attacks, basic attack after a heavy attack, and finally a dodge counter. After using any of these methods to gain one full Forte stack, you'll notice that his basic attack animations will change, and spamming it will allow him to do 4 new basic attack animations, which will fully fill all his Forte stacks when they are completed. Now, all you need to do is hold your basic attack button and press basic attack 2 times to use 3 flashy attack animations from his Forte circuit to do damage. We'll get into the flaws of his Forte circuit later on in the video, but for now, let's go over some special abilities that will be very useful to you in the overworld. If you have no Forte stacks at all, or you have just half of the first stack, using a basic attack will create a black aura around him that lasts for 6 seconds. This black aura that comes out from him basically means that he'll be able to ignore any damage once, and it will automatically trigger a dodge counter, which can help you generate 40 stacks by spamming basic attacks right after the dodge counter. Keep in mind that using a heavy attack will create the black aura as well, which you can see right here. Now do keep in mind that whenever the black aura animation starts, dodging or doing any kind of attack will interrupt or stop the animation, which means that you need to stand still to be able to ignore the incoming attack and follow up with a dodge counter. Now, in endgame content, he'll usually depend on intro skills, which will generate 2 of the Forte stacks, as you can see right here. And the moment you get 2 Forte stacks, he'll grant all teammates, including himself, 30% echo skill damage bonus for 30 seconds. So you can now spam the special basic attacks to generate the last Forte stack and hold your basic attack button to start the Forte circuit animation, and then follow up with 2 basic attacks to complete it. Now let's get into the flaws of his playstyle or Forte circuit. It can become quite annoying when trying to use it in combat because it severely lacks any form of built-in anti-interruption, which motivates you to get S1 that grants him a 100% anti-interruption when using his Forte circuit and 20% crit rate. But there are ways to work around this in case it's difficult to pull for sequences, so I've got you covered. The first workaround is to use his skill to parry incoming attacks, which slows down the enemy for a short while to use his Forte circuit, as you can see right here in this footage. Keep in mind that if you hold the skill while there's no enemy, he'll start this cool animation where he starts running in midair, but you'll hardly use it in the overworld since flight is available in every region. The second method is actually a follow-up to the first one. After holding your basic attack button to start the Forte circuit animation, just relax if there's incoming damage from the enemy because he can stay up there for about 4 seconds and they'll hardly be able to reach him while he's standing on the bamboo. You can then press basic attack 2 times when it's safe to use the rest of his forte circuit to do damage. Resonance Liberation. The damage from his liberation scales off echo skill damage, so you have to use it only when he has 2 or more forte stacks so that it'll be buffed by the 30% echo skill damage bonus that he gives to himself and his teammates after generating 2 forte stacks. Using the liberation will also grant 30% crit damage to the entire team if he has at least 65% crit rate, which should be very easy to get since he has crit rate on his skill tree. Now let's cover his build. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a record of the damage output for Emerald of Genesis and his signature weapon in the Tower of Adversity with Qiuyuan as a sub DPS buffer for Galbrena. You will encounter a damage loss of about 17.6% if you decide to use Emerald of Genesis, which is available to everyone. But do keep in mind that this is not considered a major damage loss from a team-wide damage contribution perspective, because his personal damage is pretty low at S0, so the focus will be on how much of a damage boost his weapon can provide to DPS units like Galbrena, since it provides 20% echo skill damage bonus. So I recorded the damage output from Galbrena's Liberation, Basic Attack Stage 4 and 5 for his signature weapon and Emerald of Genesis. You can see here that Galbrena will encounter a damage loss of about 6.8% if you decide to use Emerald of Genesis instead of his signature weapon, which is not that significant in my professional opinion. So if you're more worried about Galbrena facing damage losses, if you decide not to get the weapon, feel free to skip it. But for those who prefer to have a sword with an easily accessible passive for future heavy attack damage dealers, pulling it can have long-term benefits for your account, especially if you're a low spender or free-to-play. For his echoes, you should be running the 3-piece Law of Harmony and any 2-piece set that can give you aero damage bonus like Sierra Gill or Gust of Walking when running her with Frolova and Galbrena. But if you plan to use him as a universal buffer because of the team-wide crit damage buff from his liberation, in case you just started playing the game with limited access to sub-DPS units, you can use 5-piece Moonlit Clouds if the DPS that you're pairing him with scales of attack. Your echo formation should be 4-3-3-1-1. The 4-cost main echo will be crit damage Federico for those running Law of Harmony and Impermanence Heron for Moonlit Clouds. The 3-cost will be double arrow damage bonus and the 1-cost will be attack percentage as usual. Talent priority will be Forte Circuit, Liberation, Normal Attack, Skill, and Intro Skill. Substats priority will be crit rate, crit damage, and heavy attack damage bonus. Team building. Qiuyuan amplifies echo skill damage of the incoming character by 50% from his ultra skill and can provide up to 74% echo skill damage bonus if you have his weapon, so his best teammates at the moment will be Galbrena and Frolova, since majority of their damage are considered as echo skill damage. For Galbrena teams, you'll have to cancel Basic Attack Stage 3 in the Demon Hyperstasis mode to always use Stage 4 and 5 instead, since they scale off echo skill damage. I'll go into detail on how you can pull this off in the rotation section of this video. For Frolova teams, you can use him in place of Cantarella since the 3 attacks from his Forte Circuit are considered as echo skill cast. But this breaks the Rocha, Cantarella, and Frolova synergy, so to deal the highest damage, you'll have to use Shorekeeper, Qiuyuan, and Frolova. The good news is that the 50% echo skill damage amplification is not entirely useless on Frolova when she's on the field, because the damage scaling from Hecate echo skill cast is pretty high. So you'll be able to use it to do some pretty decent damage after an intro skill from Qiuyuan to Frolova. Another thing to keep in mind is that you should always prioritize generating red and condenser stacks since they have the highest damage scaling. I'll cover the synergy between Frolova and Qiuyuan in detail later in a separate video. Rotations. I'll be covering the Verena, Qiuyuan, and Galbrena team composition since everyone has access to Verena on their account. Here's the build that I'll be running for all teammates.
Who gets the bullet? That's your call.
Our hunt never stops.
We first start with Verena's Liberation and Skill. Swap to Galbrena, spam basic attacks until it's completed. Now use her skill and echo skill. Go back to Verena and spam basic attacks until you have 240 stacks. Echo skill, jump, spam basic attacks, and intro with Qiuyuan. Right after the intro, you'll get 240 stacks, so all you need to do is spam basic attacks until you get the last one. Use his liberation, skill, and hold the basic attack button to start the 40 circuit animation. Always make sure to use the liberation before using the skill and 40 circuit so that you won't have any issues with resonance energy regeneration. Now, press basic attack twice to finish the attacks from his 40 circuit, echo skill, and intro with Galbrena. This part is very important, so pay close attention. After the intro, spam basic attacks until you reach the third stage where it looks like she's breakdancing. Once you see that animation, dash towards the enemy to do damage with her special dash, which will give you 15% damage amplification from her passive. And then use her liberation, which will now give you an additional 5%, making 20% damage amplification in total. Keep in mind that the damage from the liberation will also benefit from all the damage amplification that I just mentioned. Now, you should have full 40 stacks, so use her skill and spam basic attacks until you see the third basic attack animation where she starts circling around the enemy on the ground. Once you see this, just dash to cancel the animation and press basic attack twice to use stage 4 and 5, which scales off echo skill damage. You can see here that I dodged the enemy attack in the middle of the basic attack stage 3 animation, which will follow up with another basic attack stage 3 animation as a dodge counter, so just dash to cancel the animation once again while she's circling around the enemy and press basic attack 2 times to use stage 4 and 5. Now just repeat this process until you're done consuming her 40 stacks. Sequences. You don't need S1 if you can apply the tips that I gave you about pairing with a skill to stagnate the enemy, which reduces the enemy's aggression for you to start the 40 circuit animation, and then having patience before you use the rest of the 40 circuit attacks. The 20% crit rate is not a major damage increase if you decide to stop at S1. S2 buffs for Lova and Galbrena because of the additional echo skill damage amplification that he can grant to all teammates. Keep in mind that it also buffs the damage from his liberation after regenerating 240 stacks. S3 changes his entire playstyle where he becomes a main damage dealer due to the insane new multipliers that he can get, so it demands a whole separate video. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys are interested in that video. The rest of the sequences are not that great in my opinion, so S3 should be your stopping point. That'll be all for my Qiuyuan character breakdown. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel because it's free and you can always change your mind. Our Discord link will be in the pinned comment if you're having any issues with the game or just want a place to chill or hang out. We're currently having a Lunite subscription and Battle Pass giveaway, so hop on the server to see how you can participate to help you get upcoming characters. Link will be in the pinned comment below. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.